Obviously, thank you so much, Vaid, for this opportunity. And obviously, community is always the thing which I'm always been ready. So, yeah, finally we had this event. So, good to see. So, let me just share my screen and let me just start with today's session. So, hi everyone. First of all, good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever, whichever part in the world you are. First of all, I welcome you all for being a part of this user group session. So, today's session is a session around Power BI and Power Automate. So, let me quickly share my screen here and let me know why you can see my screen here.
Yep, I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So for today's session, I did not create a too much slide. Basically, I'm going to show everything on the fly on the demos, so you will more relate about the things. So first of all, let me just start. I already give my introduction, but if you are interested to watch another content on Power Platform, you can simply search my name on the YouTube and you will find my channel. And over there, I have created lots of content around Power BI and Power Platform. Basically, Power Platform is something which is my subject matter expertise, and I'm working in this industry since last 8 long years. And if you just want to follow me, all the links are available on my channel cover right page. You can simply click on that, and you can follow me on my Instagram, Twitter, all the handles. So that's how you can reach me after the session. So first of all, let me talk about today's session agenda, what we are going to cover here. So basically, the main challenge right now in the Power BI is we all have created reports, dashboard, and everything, but how those dashboard and reports are interactive with the custom applications. Like for let's say for an example, you build some report with SQL Server in Power BI. Now you need a functionality that your record should be editable from the Power BI itself. Then you can do a combination of Power BI and Power Apps. That integration is smooth. So from here, let's say this is one record, and let's say if I want to edit that record specifically, so it provides a smooth integration using which you can edit that entire record, save that entire record, and on the fly, those changes are reflected into your Power BI. So how you can integrate those kind of thing, we will discuss about that. Another interesting use case is sometimes we have a requirement, like let's say for an example, not this report, but consider that I have one report where I'm having different set of data, and let's say I want to have some kind of button that, let's say when I filter my data, I want to export that set of data, or let's say I want to do some Twitter post related those set of data, or let's say for an example, I just want to do export to Excel or send the email notification to the user. Or let's say for this student information report, I have different student data, and let's say if someone did not pay the fee, then I want to send the email notification on the fly from the Power BI. So how can we implement this kind of functionality with the help of Power Platform Suite? So we'll discuss about those things from scratch into today's session. So this will be a lightweight session, I can say. Like the level of the session will be in between 100 to 200. So some sort of basic knowledge of Power Apps required. And even if you don't know Power Apps, don't worry, it's very easy. We will do it from scratch. So at the end of the day, definitely you will be able to create your own editable form with the Power Apps. So that's the end goal. And now let's get started for today's session agenda. So this is the end goal we will build at the end of the session. So first of all, let me head over myself to the Power BI and let me showcase you how I build the report, and then we will develop the Power Apps on the top of that. So first of all, let me talk about the database structure. So this is one of the database I have used here as a Azure SQL Server. And over here, I have student detail tables, and currently I have recorded around 14 record inside that. So simple, only one table data I have at this moment for this demonstration. So we can understand it in a better way. After that, what I did is we connected this Azure SQL database with the Power BI to build this kind of dashboard. And let me just remove this visual at this moment. So this is the basic structural report, very simple report I created. everyone knows how to connect the different kind of data source, so we will not spend our time more onto that particular part, because I assume that connecting the database is a very simple part. And over here what I've used is, here I did not use import mode, here I use the direct query mode for the SQL. But how the same thing will work in the import mode, we will see at the end of the session as well. So simply with direct query, we connected data. I just pick up some random visual and just create this basic reporting over here. Now, how we can integrate Power Apps inside the Power BI. Let's have a look on that. So first of all, the ideal way of doing is, first of all, always try to publish this report first into your workspace. That is your first stage point. You can directly add Power Apps here as well, but that integration works smoothly when you publish this report and directly edit the report in the online version. That is more preferable way. There is no such any behind the scene any rule that you must have to use in online or offline version, but generally I prefer, because when you are on browser, at the time the smooth integration between the browser links and your Power BI report will work in a great way. So what I'm doing right now, I'm just publishing this report to one of my workspace at this moment. So let me just publish this to one of my workspace, Power BI AI workspace, or maybe let me just publish there, and meantime, let's have a look. So I just published this report. Yep, the report has been published. And now let me just open up my Power BI service. So I'm just opening that. Let me just go to the Power BI AI workspace and let me see the report which I published. So this is the report I published, and this is how it is looking like. I already configured all the gateway. For Azure SQL, you don't need any gateway. So all the behind the scene direct query connection I already did. That's why it didn't throw me any error. Now, let's say I want now a functionality that this is my table and I want this thing to be editable. Or let's say I want to take some input from my end user, and on the fly in the report, I want to reflect those changes. So how we can get started with that? So for that, let's just edit the report over here and let's add Power Apps visualization from here. So I added this Power Apps visual, and after that, just click on this focus mode so you can see the things in a big format. And now the very first step that you need to do here is you need to drag your data point. So how this Power Apps visual work is, you need to provide some sort of data so that it knows that this is the smooth integration you need in between your Power BI and Power Apps. So let's say for an example, here I have this data source. So I'm just adding student ID, student name. So as soon as I add that, it will look like this into Power Apps data. And over here, you can simply use don't summarize. So make sure that you do activity. Then let's say I want admission year, country, fees paid or not, gender, grade. So what are the field you need as a part of your date? You can simply just add that and score. This is the thing that we need. So we just added that. So first step is always to add the different data points over here. As soon as you add your data point, it will just showing you this option, this kind of box to you. Or and at that time there are two options. Choose an app. If you already have any existing app, you can choose from that, or you can create a new app from the scratch. And on the top, you will having the different option to change your environment. So in which environment you want to create this particular app. So you have that flexibility as well over here. In our case, what we'll do is we'll simply create a new application from scratch, and I will just use the default environment to do that. But depending on your requirement, you can change it. So what we'll do is we can simply use create new, and it will just redirecting you to your make.powerapps.com screen. So let it to be open and let it to be loaded. So yep, this has loaded the Power Apps, and by default it creates this kind of gallery, and you can see the Power BI integration. So this Power BI integration object is something which is responsible for the smooth integration between your Power BI and Power Apps. And with this Power BI integration, whatever field that you have passed inside your Power Apps data as a part of your visual configuration, you will be able to access those things over here inside your Canvas app. Now, let's say for an example, over here we have this record, and first I want to show the data in the grid, and after that I want to develop a form for that. So for that, I'm just going to screen one. I'm choosing the gallery. Gallery is a very basic concept in Power Apps, which is used to display the data from your data source. So over here from this Power BI integration, I want to showcase the data. So I choose this gallery, and from this data source field, I will change the layout a little bit. I need title, subtitle, and that thing. And first of all, I want to show the student name. So I will just this item dot student ID, or from here you can use the same name like name. So it will first print your name of the student. So this item dot name. Then let's say you wanted to have their, if they have paid a fee or not, or if you just want their gender or score information. So I just want to print out their grade and their score information, grade and their score. Let's say I'm just doing score. So I'm just changing that thing over here, and that's how our gallery is created. It is showing me all the data from the Power BI to Power Apps integration. So that's done. Now let me just save this application first. So I'm just using Control S and providing the name of my application. So I'm just providing Power BI app, and let's provide student information. Let's save that. So we save the application. And now let's say when I click on this particular item, I want to I want to able to update this record as well. So what I can do is I can create one form inside this particular Power Apps. And to create the form inside the Power BI Power Apps application, we need to connect our actual data source. So first of all, let's connect our SQL Server database over here inside this application. So I'm just going to plus icon, add data, and let's search for SQL Server, which is my data source. And over here, I already did one of the configurations. So let me just pick up my configuration over here, and let me select my table. So this is my students detail table. I'm just choosing that, and I'm connecting that data source over here. So our data source is created successfully. And now what we need to do is we can create one another page for our form. So let's create one screen for that. And for that, click on new screen, and from template, let's select the form template. So this will create this kind of form. And over here, we need to provide the data source, which is my SQL Server database. So let's just provide it, and it will add, go to the field, and let's just apply which field we want to apply as an editable field. So name, score, grade, gender, fees paid, country, and admission year. They can edit anything. So let's just add that. So those columns are added and the form is ready. And now let's just provide some title. So here I'm providing title as student details. And this is how it is looking like. Now I want to save this form, and to store the form, basically there is a simple command in Power Apps, which is submit form. When we added the screen, it automatically added that. So this will basically store our form, and on cancel, basically I just wanted to go back to my previous screen. So I will just use back function over here. So I can just redirect myself to the previous screen. And now let me just see how it will look like. So now I want to create a navigation between the page, like from when I select this item, it should open the form like this, and all the information will be pre-populate, and then I can able to update the record inside that. So for that, we will use a simple code over here. So over here on the button, let's slide write a code. So on button, let's just initialize our form, edit form, and provide the form ID, which is edit form 1. And then we need to navigate ourselves to that screen, navigate, and inside that navigate, I need to provide the screen ID. I want to redirect myself to the screen 2. So I'm just providing screen 2 over here. And then I want to provide navigation transition. So I don't need navigate any type of transition. So I'm selecting none. And after that, uh, you need to provide the specific item. How do your Power Apps know that you selected this item? Okay. So for that, basically you just need to provide it here in a curly braces is variable selected item. What is the value for that? And variable selected item is nothing but your gallery selection. So copy your gallery's ID, gallery1 dot selected, gallery1 dot selected. So we need to provide that over here. Okay, so it is working. Now let's go here to the next page, and it opens this thing over here. Now in the form, we need to go to the item property, and we need to provide which item we selected from the previous screen. So for that, we always need to provide the data source reference. So here our data source is SQL Server. So we will just look up that record against our data source, look up from student details table, and we will just look at the ID column. ID is equal to the database primary column is student ID is equal to whatever ID you selected from the previous screen. So we use a context variable selected item dot student ID. That is the thing that we selected over there. So that will we will pass over here, and that will pre-populate the data over here. You can see that when I have this, it is pre-populating everything over here. So if I summarize, we are here. Now I'm clicking on second record. It should show me the second record data. So this is how we just redirected ourselves to the different pages, and we can see the information. Now I want to also provide a feature here that someone can create a new record as well without going to database. So for that, we will initialize the same form as a new form. And for that, let's create some sort of designing here. So over here in this app, I just want to change some background over here, change the font as white, make it bold and center line. And let's just see student information. And let's provide plus icon as well over here. So there are different type of icons available here. So let's just add that, and let's provide its color as white. So this will look like this. And now when we click on this plus button, what I want is I want to immediately open my new form over here. So we simply use a function new form, and inside that we will provide the same form ID, which is our edit form 1. So let's provide it and simply navigate ourselves to that page. Navigate to screen 2. That's it. Screen 2. And here we are. Now when I click on that, I redirected myself over here. When I click on close, I will go back. So now this is ready. Now let's taste this thing over here, and then we will do some sort of other manipulation in the same app. So we did this. Now let's check with our report. So I'm just opening this thing in the reading mode. So, and let me just make this power apps big inside my power apps. So let me just arrange it. And make sure that you publish your changes as well. So I just publish my changes and let me save this thing here. Reading view, let me refresh my page as well. And let me just edit one more time here. Yep, so it looks nice. And still this isn't refreshed properly because I cannot see that blue color box that I have created. So let it to be refreshed, and couple of things as well is not working as expected. So the app that we published isn't reflected properly. So let's wait for a moment because sometimes it is taking time in order to reflect that inside your Power BI. So let me just edit that one more time. I'm just, or maybe what you can do is you can simply remove that and re-add as well. So let me just remove that right now. If this kind of thing happen with you, let me just drag the field one more time here. I'm just adding this thing here. Usually it is appearing. Sometimes this is the thing happen. Now I will simply choose the app that we created. So it will show all the apps. So this is the app that we just created. So let's select that and add that. And now it is looking like this. And see, now it is perfectly showing to you. So that label and all the things are working as expected. Okay, so now it is ready. Now let's test this. So what I'm doing now is the way this Power Apps created, it also support all the native feature of the Power BI. Like let's say if I just filter by gender, so it will also filter out this record as well. So total 8 members are there. So you can see 8 female records over here. Or let's say if there are only two students from Europe, so when I click on that, you can see this gallery is also filtered between that. So that's how this is the smooth integration between the Power BI and Power Apps, and that is something which is done using that Power BI integration. Now, let's say for an example, I want to edit the record, this record. So let's say I want to edit this record, and let's say from Europe, currently I have two count, but I want to change the country here from Europe to Australia. So I just change here as Australia. I'm just clicking on this submit item now. So this is saved. As soon as it saved it, I did not get any prompt or notification because we didn't apply that code. And as well as that count didn't reflected automatically over here. So why that not happened? Because we are still under construction. But this is how at least this integration part is done. Now let's apply this piece of code over here as well. So as soon as I submit this record, let's say if I edit that record and save it, I want to provide notification as well to the user, notify that record has been updated successfully. So I can just use a function notify record saved successfully. And you can just choose notification type dot success. and how long you want to show that notification. I want that 2 seconds. So 2000, I just added that. And after that, I want to redirect myself to the home screen. So then navigate to screen 1. Navigate screen 1. That's it. And with that, I want to refresh my visual as well, so that when it changed from Europe to Australia, it should show 3 count over here and 1 count over here. So that calculation should happen on the fly. So for that, I need to use a command, Power BI integration dot refresh. So this is something which will make a query to all your visuals inside your Power Apps, sorry, Power BI, and that will refresh that data for you. So that is something that you need to use, and we are done. So let's save this and let's publish the changes. Publish this version. And let's wait for a few minutes to reflect those changes. I'm just refreshing my page. Let me filter out this record now. Let me go here. Let me change the grade first here to see if my changes are reflected here or not. Mate, yes, you can see this notification happened. Okay, and now let's test that feature that we wanted to. So let's say, let me pick up some other countries' data like Canada. Over here, I have 3 records. So let me update any record here. I'm choosing Sam, and over here, let me change from Canada to Europe, EU. So it should reduce 2 from here, 1 from here, and add 1 to here. Let's click on save. It updated, and you can see that these changes are reflected perfectly over here on the fly. So just one line of code and your changes will be reflected to your Power BI as well. So this is the key, like using this command, you can simply refresh the data on the fly. Now, let me talk about couple of limitations here. So currently this report is a direct query report. So that's why we can see the direct reflection of the count over here, because what that command does is directly trying to refresh your visual, and that will update your counts over here. But if you have import mode of the report, or if you have report like from SharePoint, okay, so at that time that direct refresh will not work for you, because that will load the data in the import mode. And how import mode refresh will work is you need to do the on demand refresh for yourself. So this is working as for other regular Power BI report. So you can do the changes on the fly. But let's say if you want to see the reflection of those changes, there are 2 options. Either you can go to your workspace and go to the refresh button, that will refresh your data set, and that those changes will reflect into your report. Or you can write some sort of PowerFX command over here inside your Power Apps that will programmatically perform that refresh. But at the same time, you have that limitation of licensing, like you cannot refresh more than 8 times in a day with a pro license. So even if you do that programmatically, same limitations you will have. So you just need to choose that function wisely, what end outcome you need that. But at least for import mode, you can build this kind of system for yourself. But obviously for data refresh, you can do manually, or you can just write some sort of Power Automate for that automation. So that's how this smooth integration between Power Apps and Power BI will work. Also, this live data source refresh at this moment supported all the data sources who has live connection, like SQL Server, Azure SQL, then even for Dataverse as well, you can have on the fly changes for your report. But for the data sources like SharePoint and SQL import mode, it will not on the fly. So just consider that thing in your mind before you choose that approach for yourself. So that was the first half. We connected our Power Apps inside the Power BI and we did this activity. Now, let me move towards the second half of the session where we will talk about the different Power Automate use cases. So let's say for an example, this is Power Apps, but they come up with one more visual inside the Power BI, which is Power Automate, which is the another piece of integration. So how can we do that activity with the Power Automate? Let's have a look. So I'm just taking one simple use case here. So let's say for an example, when I filter my data based on the country, my data will be filtered. And after that, I just want to send the email notification that to the user with the all the rows that I have selected over here. So how we can do that activity? Let's have a look. So for that, simply from the visualization pane, we will add one Power Automate visual on our page. So let me select this Power Automate, and that will add this kind of visualization on the page. And same like Power Apps, we need to first drag the field, that what are the field that we need from our Power BI to our Power Automate. So that is something we need to provide it. So over here, I will drag the columns. So I need student ID, I need name of the student, I need gender, and I need country as well. I need this four field, and I don't want to summarize it. So just to don't summarize, and we just added this field. Now let's expand this visual. So we added the data, that part is done. Now we simply need to create the Power Automate for ourselves. So let's just go back. Let me just shrink this little bit and go to the three dots on the top and click on the edit option. So as soon as you edit that, it will open the Power Automate interface for you inside your service. So it is opening this kind of interface, and from here you can start creating your fresh flow for yourself. So I'm just creating instant cloud flow over here, and this is something which will add automatically. The first action is Power BI button clicked. So it click the button for the when we click the button, at that time only this flow will trigger. And then as a next step, we need to add the different steps inside that. So over here, what I want is I want to send those four rows as an email notification. Okay, so what I will do is I will use the send email action to do the notification. But obviously, I need to fetch that record and need to create some sort of HTML structure. So first of all, let me show you the end outcome here. So this is the end result I want. Like this is how your table will look like, and you can see title, description, and category, and whatever record I selected, it should be sent as a notification. Okay, so this kind of table structure I need to create inside the Power Automate. So for that, I'll just take some variable initialization to do this activity. So I'm just using initialize variable, and we will create HTML string where HTML string, and take that as a string variable. And then we will just define some HTML text for here. So let me do one thing here. To save the time, let me copy some of the part of the code from here because I don't want to type that entire structure again for me. So what I'll do is I'll just use this command table, and we just define the header and first row. And after that, we will append the other row from the data, append to string variable, append to string. And over here, what we'll do, we'll choose the same variable, and let's choose the value. So here, what I want is first, let me drag any value. So these are the same value which you dragged during your visual setup. So let's say I want ID, name, and country. So I will choose student ID. So Power BI data student ID. As soon as you add that, it will automatically add loop inside that, because obviously when we pass that context, multiple row will be passed from your Power BI to Power Automate. So it is just looking like that. And now let me just provide the proper structure here. So what I want is, I'm just creating this kind of structure, TR structure, TR, and in TD, I'm just adding student ID, student name, and country. These are the three columns I'm adding. And once I'm done, I will just add one more append to string to close my HTML text. Append to string. And let me just add slash table. Want to close that, and then we will use send an email action. Send email and send email v2 version 2, and we need to provide to whom we want to send. So if you have two value already in your database, you can easily find out that thing from your Power BI object. But let's say here I don't have email address stored, so I'm just wanted to send that to myself. And subject, you can add anything, so I'm just adding here HTML example Power BI user group demo. And then I want to add something in my body. So in my body, I want to apply some sort of CSS for my table, which I'm copying and pasting. So I will just choose this table CSS and all, and I will just choose the variable that we created, HTML string, and that's how it will look like. Let's save this flow. So I'm just using Power BI user group, send email, and click on save. And that's how it looks like. And save and apply. Click on save and apply. As soon as you do that, you will see a message, you're successfully applied to this button. And if you go back, now this will look like this kind of button, and you can rename that button as well. So let me just shrink that little bit. And if you go to the formatting property, you can change this text. Instead of run flow, send email, you can simply choose like that, and that's how it looks like. And now let me save this stuff. Now let's taste this feature, but before that, let me just open up this flow as well. So simply like other flows, uh, if you go even to your, let me just, your my flow, you will be able to see the flow that you just created. So this is the one we created. So here we can open it and debug it as well. So let's say I'm here, and now let me just go to the reading mode and let me filter my data. So over here, let me filter by Europe. So that will filter my data. It is filtered now, and when we click on send email, let's see what happens. I'm just clicking on this button, and let's have a look of the flow run. So it's triggering and it shows triggered. Now let's go here and check. I'm just refreshing here, and you can see that it is successful, and I received an email as well. So over here, this is crazy, which didn't look proper. That's fine, but at least the table that we were looking for, that reflected perfectly. Now why this is showing this HTML tag? Because I missed one thing in my email action, which is I did not use that body as an HTML. That's the thing why that happened. So I just go here and show advanced option. There is an option for HTML. Let me just choose that code. So now this is something which will consider as HTML. And let me paste the code one more time here. Give me a moment. just added, and let me just add that again. Save that, and let's see what happens. Let me re-trigger here from the recent one. Yep, I received. See, now it looks proper because we did not properly apply the HTML alignment. So now it looks proper, and I can see the UROPS data over here into my email like this. So this kind of functionality you can achieve with the help of Power Automate. So we learned so far like Power Automate and Power Apps integration. Let me talk about some other use cases of Power Automate, which we will not build from scratch, but I will just give you a glimpse that this is also something which you can do with the Power Automate here. So sometimes we have a requirement like uh, we are looking for an integration like we select something into from Power BI and we want to send that back to the some third party system with the API and all. So obviously with Power Automate, you can call your third party API and you can simply pass some sort of record from this particular Power BI and use that into your Power Automate flow and just call your third party API to finish those steps for yourself. Second thing is, let's say sometimes you want to export the data in form of Excel or you want to send the Excel in the emails, then also you can use this kind of feature, export to Excel. And let me just quickly show you the flow. So when the button is clicked, there are obviously you need some sort of Power Automate knowledge in order to do that. So we are creating one row into the Excel and do the stuff. Obviously, the native feature is already there, like export to Excel. Someone can easily do it from here, but it is just for let's say they need something in the email or you need some way in the automated way, then only you can do that. So don't worry about all of these other use cases. I have a dedicated playlist on my YouTube, which I'll share as a part of your link. You can always go through that and learn more use cases from Power Automate and Power Apps. Also, there is one more thing. If you sometimes have a requirement where you want to export the data as PDF, at that time as well, you can do this when button file is created, and after that we are converting that file into PDF. So this is also we can do with the help of Power Automate. Uh, One use case is this HTML table structure which we created from the scratch. So if you want to send an email notification, you can do that. Fourth use case, you can call any external API with the help of Power Automate and this integration which you can do. So just think through your mind that what action I can do in Power Automate, everything we can do with this integration piece as well. So yeah, that's it for Power Apps and Power Automate session. I know like if you are unaware about Power Apps, then you find this a little bit tough, but if you do practice, it's very easy and this is opening the next level of use cases which you can build for your customers. So yeah, now we are almost like I'm about to end this session, but feel free to ask your
Perfect.
question if you have anything.